You bought it to ride. You didn't realize you were buying a haunting. You can sell every bike you ever own, trade up the horsepower, polish the chrome on the latest and greatest machine. But there is one machine, one memory, one raw, rattling engine note that will follow you into every corner of your riding life. It is not nostalgia. It is an imprint. It is your first. And understanding why that one cheap, dented, unforgettable motorcycle holds such permanent territory in your soul is understanding the entire trajectory of the rider you became. The reality of your first motorcycle never starts with the key turning. It starts years earlier. It's constructed in the silence of your bedroom, late at night, under the pale glow of a monitor. You built it in your head with the pixelated image of a Craigslist listing you couldn't to possibly afford, but saved anyway. You created the sound of its exhaust from the muffled engine noise of every bike that passed your house. You imagined the smell, that specific intoxicating perfume of cheap gas, hot oil baking off the valve cover, and a hint of burned clutch, before you ever inhaled it. The machine you eventually bought was merely the physical confirmation of the dream you had already constructed, a blueprint made real. That is why the moment the keys landed in your palm, the entire axis of your life shifted. It was a weight, a commitment, a promise of freedom you'd chased for years. And then came the first rollout. The street didn't just feel bigger, it felt quieter, vast, like the world had paused its spin to watch this clumsy, momentous debut. Your hands were stiff on the bars, heart pounding not with excitement yet, but with pure, unadulterated terror, and the shock of realizing, this is it. I am doing this alone. It wasn't a casual joyride. It was a baptism. You had been a passenger in life, and in that moment, you became a rider. Now, if this feeling resonates with you, if you remember that exact moment the world cracked open and changed forever, then do me a favor. Hit that like button right now and drop the name of your first bike down in the comments below. What was the machine that birthed the rider in you? Sharing those stories keeps the history of the asphalt alive, and that engagement is how we keep this community roaring and growing. So, take a second to subscribe if you haven't already, because we're only just scratching the surface of why this memory sticks. The relationship with that first bike was defined not by its performance, but by its flaws. It wasn't polished, it was imperfect. It had that rough idle, that rattling exhaust shield, that one little mechanical tick only you, its reluctant owner, ever noticed. It was a beat-up education with a torn seat and faded paint, and yet it was yours. And that ownership, that responsibility, made it absolutely unforgettable. Every ride was a lesson, often taught with a cruelty only gravity can deliver. That bike showed you everything at once: the exhilarating rush of power, the sudden vulnerability of fragility, and the hair-thin line that separates control from chaos. The first time you leaned into a corner too hard, felt the back tire start to drift, and had your stomach drop out from under you. The first time you stalled it in traffic, sweating under your helmet, embarrassed but determined. The first time you dropped it, the sickening, inevitable thud, and the immediate, frustrated desperation to pick it up and ride away before anyone saw. Those moments weren't just mistakes. They were etchings. They carved something permanent into your muscle memory and your psyche. And that's why, when riders talk about their first, their voice softens, their eyes drift. They don't sound like they're listing specifications. They sound like they're reminiscing about a first love or a first heartbreak. Because just like that first serious relationship, you didn't walk away untouched. Every new, faster, more advanced bike you swing a leg over after that feels like a rebound, no matter how good it is. You unconsciously measure its perfection against the glorious imperfection of the original. That cheap, dented machine became the benchmark for freedom, for terror, for everything real. That bike was a doorway. The moment the world became an infinite strip of asphalt, and you had the power to point yourself in any direction. That is the true ghost that haunts your garage. It's not just the memory of the motorcycle itself, but the memory of the person you were when you rode it. The wide-eyed, clumsy kid who stalled, who fell, who pushed too hard, and who learned the hard way. That particular version of you doesn't exist anymore, but its shadow still rides alongside you. The lessons it taught you weren't always sweet. You remember the mechanical breakdowns you fixed with duct tape and a prayer. You remember the close calls you never told a soul about. Those ghosts whisper warnings in your ear even years later. Check your 6. Don't trust that corner. Roll off the throttle. And you listen, because you earned those lessons with scraped knees and a beating heart. Your first motorcycle burned those truths into your breathing. It's why you check your mirrors without consciously thinking about it. It's why you roll off the gas when the road looks wrong. It's why you ride with respect for the machine and the asphalt, rather than arrogance. Your first bike gave you the freedom, but it also hammered home the consequence of mismanaging that power. Eventually, you outgrow it. Maybe you literally grew taller. Maybe the yearning for more speed, more power, or just a more reliable machine became too strong. But leaving that first bike behind is nothing like trading up a phone or a car. It feels like leaving a piece of yourself, a chapter of your becoming, sitting in the corner of a damp garage. Because that specific machine held the version of you that was still being shaped. Those lessons didn't break you. They forged you. They are why your breathing stays steady as the miles roll by. They are the reason you scan every threat, plan every exit, and never stop calculating. It is the truth you learned early. The road doesn't just take you places. It teaches you exactly who you are. That is why the memory is more than just a scar. It is a presence stitched into the fabric of your riding soul that nothing can ever erase. Your first motorcycle doesn't stay with you because of what it was, mechanically or aesthetically. It stays with you because of what it did. It buried the hesitant, dreaming person you were before you rode it. And in its place, it gave birth to someone new. Someone who understands the weight of true freedom. The bike is gone. The years move on. But what it carved into you stays forever.